guys, welcome back again to my channel. So in today's video I am going to be doing a little bit of story time. Yeah, that's basically it. So this is my first time doing a story time, so let's see, it might actually be interesting, I guess. So when I was a kid, I was confident because I grew up being cheered on. My parents were like, "You are so bright, you're so smart." Even at school, teachers would be like, "You're so smart, you're so bright." You know, they would literally send me to higher grades. When I mean higher grades, I mean when I was in grade 1, they would send me to grade 3 and go say something to the teachers in grade 3 so that I just impressed them, you know. They wanted to show off and show those teachers of how impressive how eloquent I was, and that was amazing. It was amazing because it made me feel like, gosh, I'm that girl, I can do this, I got this. I mean, I can do anything I want, you know. And I feel like that's very, very crucial in a child's life, because when a kid grows up with that confidence filled in their heads, they actually feel like they can conquer anything. They're not afraid of anything. And I feel like it's very important at that stage of life, because that's when the brain is developing, and whatever the brain consumes is going to be reflected in the future of this kid. So what I'm trying to say is, even for your kids, you know, sometimes kids can be mean. I know they can be annoying and do terrible things to parents, but can we not say words that will affect them in future, if you know what I mean? That those words that are scarring, you know? Okay, so let me get to the point. Like I said, I was a bright kid. My parents were always, you know, talking about me, even to their friends. My kid can count up to this. My kid can, you know, all these things. I remember my dad taking me to his friend and being like, write this name. I think his name was Ntate Manyedi, and my dad was like, my kid is so smart, she can write your name. I was only in grade 1, I think, and you know, that's such a difficult thing to write, Manyedi, like you can, you know. So I did. I wrote it down and everyone was shocked. Whoa, my goodness, this kid is bright. And that alone, I was so confident. If you know me from primary school, you know I was that girl. Yeah, until I changed schools, and then I came, so that's not even the point, but I came back to the original school that I started, and I think I came back to do grade 5. So I left at grade 3 and I came back to do grade 5. I went to MS and Maseru to New Millennium and other schools. Yeah, I changed schools a lot. And when I got there, I still got it, and I was that kid again, and they were like, oh my gosh, she's back, you know. I was still like soaring my grades. I was an A+ student, you know. And there was a time when I was appointed to be one of the students to represent my school in the capital city. So they chose only the A+ students, obviously. So I went there and I represented my school. It was this UNICEF thing. I don't even remember what it was about, but I went there for a week and I missed a lot on my schoolwork. And when I came back, it was almost exam time. I had no time to copy notes or prepare. And the other thing is, the teachers didn't really equip me for the exam. They didn't help me, like give me notes or teach me, tutor me, something, you know, to help me catch up with the other students, because I had missed out a lot, and the exam time was already approaching, and I didn't even have time to do that by myself. So my grades really deteriorated. So I didn't really do good, and that's when this chaos started. So what happened was, I remember one time after school, so this is what actually used to happen every day after school. well, every Friday, I mean. So every Friday after school, we were told to, it wasn't even after school, Friday after lunchtime, we cleaned the classroom. We polished the floors, the tiles, and we mopped. It was that day where everything was being cleaned around the surroundings. We bent papers and, you know, we're just picking up papers around school and all that. And when we were busy cleaning, some students would use chalk on their faces just to be powdery and look cute. And it was such a childish thing to do. I don't know, I decided to do it too. And but then I remember, oh my gosh, I have baby powder in my bag. And the reason why I had baby powder in my bag, when I was a kid, my mom was in school at the University of Free State, and my dad was at work in South Africa. And I used to live with my cousin just by ourselves, and she was younger than me. But you know, in Africa, it takes a village to raise a kid, so my neighbors really did take a good care of us. I had lots of neighbors who would check up on me. Some of them would do my hair, some of them would wash our clothes, you know, make lunch boxes for us, bake bread, you know, everything. Like, they got us. My mom knew that she would call any one of them to talk to us or whatever. Before I had a phone, but I had a phone eventually, and I would talk to my mom every day. But yeah, it wasn't that tragic. It was okay. My mom used to come home very often and to check on us to find out if we were okay, and then go back to school, because you know, in Africa you gotta have education. Like, it's everything. If you don't have it, it's bad. You gotta have it. So that's not the point. Anyways, so every Friday I used to go back in the villages at my dad's home to my other extended family members, just to be home with some other people that I call my family. So it was almost every Friday where I go home. So I would go there. So that's why I had baby powder in my bag, because it was in my toiletry bag. It was something that I used for my face. So it was in my toiletry bag. I remembered that, oh my gosh, I still have something in my I don't need to use chalk, because apparently it left acne on your face. So we had to be careful with our skin, right? So I started taking out my baby powder, and everyone was like, oh, nice, okay, we don't have to use chalk anymore. Palesa has baby powder. So we shared the baby powder. It was fun. Yeah, you know, so innocent, so innocent. And then I don't know if it was the very same day after school, we were going home together with a group of friends, and I think one of them wanted baby powder again. So I took it out again, and then I poured for everyone, and then we started putting it on our faces again. And it was so childish and so stupid, and we were like, okay, who has lip gloss? You know, we put on lip gloss just to look cute. And it was so, I remember even taking out our books. We took out the book that has the best cover on it. You know, you used to put like Christina Milian at the back of your book, you know, Chris Brown, these celebrities. And we took out a book that has like the best cover, and we used it as a shade too. And we thought we were being cool walking around with Chris Brown shade or Rihanna shade. It was innocent. And apparently there was a teacher who was looking at us from behind a window somewhere. I don't even know, but that became such a huge deal, and that is where everything began. And before I go into that, I just want to touch into something first. There was a time, so the primary school that I went to, it was St. Cyprian's English Medium and St. Cyprian's Primary School. I know it's crazy. So there was primary school. It was still the same school, but primary school, they were not really speaking English, and English medium, they were like strictly speaking English. So I had a friend of mine who was in primary school, and she gave me a love letter. She was like, oh, somebody said I should give you this. I'm like, who's this somebody? I can't even remember the name, but she was like, oh, it's this guy. She said that she knows you. Was she even my friend? I don't even think that girl was my friend, but she was just like, some guy said I should give you Palesa, who goes to English medium, wanted me to give you this. And I'm like, okay. So I read it, and it was, hey, my love, Palesa, you know, a love letter. Somebody I don't even know. I was like, heck, I don't know this guy. I didn't even have a boyfriend, but like I never even thought of dating yet. I was in grade 7, yeah. And And then there were two Palisas in our class. You know, Palisa is like a very, very common name at home. And I went to class and I gave it to the other Palisa. And I'm like, girl, somebody gave me this letter and I don't think it was supposed to be meant for me. So I think it's yours, because they said Palisa and it's not me. I have no clue who this guy is. So maybe they meant Palisa you. So I gave it to her, and girl was like, I don't know him either. So this is what this girl did. She took the letter to her teacher, and that's where the mess began. I mean, if it wasn't yours, girl, why don't you just throw it away or give it back to me and I'll throw it away? Why involve teachers? You know, there were people who desperately sick being loved by teachers. I don't know if she's still out there. I don't know if even she watched this, but girl, I'm still so mad at you for that. Kidding. But yeah, like, it was crazy. So the teachers made up their minds that the letter actually belonged to me. So the boy was mine, apparently. Gosh, I didn't even know who the boy was. So and then following up on that, the teacher who saw us putting on baby powder came and told everything to our class teachers, and that's where the mess began. So every teacher in school came and they sat in our class. I think it was lunchtime, and all the girls who were putting on baby powder were called to stand in front of the class, in front of teachers, and explain, who's your boyfriend, and what about you, who's your boyfriend? We're like, I don't have a boyfriend, what are you talking about? And they were like, no, you have a boyfriend. First of all, your performance has decreased. You know, they were pointing so many things. Like, I was so confused. Like, oh my goodness, it was just baby powder. Yeah, when you, after school, you guys put on baby powders now. You go in to chase boys. You know, boys will give you kids. I don't even want to go into that, but it was too much information for a 12-year-old. It was a lot. Like, what the heck are these people talking about? I'll fall pregnant. I don't even have my period yet. What the heck? And I remember crying because they beat us. They made us lay on the bench. And that time we were wearing skirts, school uniform, and they whipped us with sticks and I think electricity pipes, those white pipes. Yeah. And they were hitting our bums. Every one of them was hitting us about 10 lashes on our butts. Yeah, everyone 10 lashes or more, and there were about 7 teachers or 8. So you can imagine when one of them is whipping you. And there were, I feel like I was the main focus, because they kept on saying, yo, our top student, we are so disappointed. Will we ever get that top 1 student from our school? Because we were so, you know, putting our trust in you. So if this is you, you've really changed. You know, what's going to happen? We're so disappointed. And I could feel all this shame coming on me, and I was innocent. I tried explaining, I have no idea of what you guys are talking about. I was crying, and I remember telling them that one of the teachers is missing and I should go get her. And lucky enough, that was my mom's friend. So I was like, oh, thank God they sent me. So I went there, I got to her class, and I started bawling, and I was telling her, this is what's happening. They don't believe me. And I was thinking, I'm safe. You're my mom's friend, and you know, you understand what I'm talking about. And funny thing, she seemed to understand until we got back to the class and the teachers told her everything, and she beat me more than any one of them. She was like, you're my child, and you're my friend's child, so you're my child. I'm gonna discipline you. And oh my goodness, she whipped me. She whipped me until I could no longer cry anymore, until I didn't even have tears anymore. I was red, blue, purple, all sorts of colors on my thighs and on my butts. Like, it was so bad. And they told us to cut our hair. So they basically cut our hair because we were too forward. We loved boys, and our performance was degrading or declining, whatever the word is. But yeah, so I remember just being miserable, going back home crying, and not being able to come back to your mom. The neighbors are great people for sure, but they're not your mom. sometimes you just need your mom. She's the only person who can understand genuinely what you mean when you cry, when you want someone to listen. And for the neighbors, I just didn't feel like they would get me like my mom. Well, I had a phone and I called my mom, but she was far away and there was really nothing she could do. And that was a very, very, very hurtful. And I remember going back to school, boys laughing at me, calling me ugly, some students calling me, oh, she has a boyfriend, she's been punished, her hair is cut off. Like, imagine in class, and this portion of girls were forced to cut their hair and the rest of the girls still have their hair. And like I said, I felt like the main focus was on me because I was an A student, and they would throw shade at me in class where they were teaching, like, yeah, some of you now like boys, so that's why you won't perform, you know, that's why the grades are not so good anymore, that's why you end up in the streets with a baby, not knowing what to feed the baby, you know, all those sorts of things. And I lost trust in my teachers. I lost, like, it was just, going back to school was a nightmare. Like, I would cry just having to go back to school. But I was in grade 7 and I had to, like, write my final exam and go to high school, and I just couldn't stop going to school. I had to force myself to go to school, and that was very mentally breaking, emotionally breaking. And for the longest time, it's been the anger that I had in my life without even knowing that I had it. And I know some people will be like, oh, so that's the abuse you're talking about. You know, it actually is. Abuse is not just rape. All forms of abuse are the same, and I feel like mental abuse or emotional abuse is not taken seriously because people don't see it physically. People want to believe something that it's tangible, that they can look at it and be like, oh, you were abused, you were raped. Or I know even when you're raped, people can see it, but it's more believable to listen to somebody who says they were raped. But when you say you were abused emotionally, and when people don't understand, and it takes, I think it goes deep into the child's future, how they form relationship in future. It really breaks them, because I know moving forward, I was never an A student anymore. Like, I failed to, they did something to my brain that my brain couldn't develop the way it used to develop anymore. So what I'm saying is, teachers have the power to break your kid or make your kid. So I just want to, if you have a son or a daughter or siblings out there, just check on them. Be sure to follow up what's happening in school, especially at home, because I feel like this kind of things are not taken seriously, because corporal punishment is still a thing at home, and people don't realize it. It's not just corporal punishment. Sometimes teachers can say the most degrading words to your kid, and some kids would just laugh at your baby. That's where everything starts. It shuts down the kid mentally, and it affects their future as well, because that's where the child's brain development is still happening. That's the stage where everything is still being formed. So anything that's said to your kid, anything, they take in anything and they believe it, because they're still so gullible to anything. And I feel like we should be more careful and check up on our kids, just to make sure, hey, how was school today? How were you treated? How were your friends? What did the teacher say? Anything that made you feel good, or anything that made you feel bad? And then hold those teachers accountable. Even if you are a teacher and you see some teacher doing something bad to a kid, just hold them accountable, because we don't want to raise a generation full of depression, or not believing in the future, or believing that there can be something good in future because somebody broke them. It's a lot. I never even knew that I had this anger until, like, I never even knew that I was abused until I went to see a therapist. And as we were talking through things, she was like, you were abused. And I was like, damn right I was. I just thought it was okay. I just thought they were disciplining me. I just never realized how much it affected me. And I remember my mom used to, when she came back to school, when she was done with school and back at home with us, she used to say, you have so much anger. And that was so hurtful because I didn't know the source of anger. I didn't know how to explain. I don't know what's going on with me. It was just so sad until I realized that the source of anger was that I've been shattered. I've been broken for the longest time and she wasn't around, and maybe I was blaming her that she wasn't around or whatever, I don't know, but they somehow crippled me mentally, and you only notice it when you're old enough, I guess, because I know even in high school my performance was no longer the same. I guess I was a B student, I was no longer an A student. I don't remember I think it was only in grade 9 where I got to a position 3. It's still not an A+ student. So yeah, all in all, I never went back to being an A student. I guess I went to a B, and now I know I was capable of soaring and flying high if they kept the consistency of making me believe in myself. So I just want to put it out there that mental and emotional abuse is also abuse, and it's not less of any form of abuse. So yeah, that is my story. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your support, and I would just like you to like this video and share it, and please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.